I think it's attracting a certain type of mindset. We're not for everyone, but we cater to somebody who's like very driven, very ambitious, very entrepreneurial minded. Legal in general, it's not known for its excitement. When we started doing our first events, I mean, we had these like massive screens and like we had a DJ playing music. We had David Goggins, the Navy SEAL, like screaming at people, and like that was very different from your traditional legal conference. You have to have a level of like humility and an open-mindedness to consider a new approach.
Welcome to this episode of Bourbon Approved, where we interview those in the legal space who are both successful at law and life, and we do so over several spirits. A lot of these brown alcohol. Today we're actually doing ones that have no alcohol in them as a first or second. We've done 3 or 4 of these, right, Mauro?
We've done where people had someone else with them that drank it, that actually drank the alcohol.
Yeah.
And we've had people drink the non-alcoholic. So this is very rare, though.
And in bright red, we have our esteemed co-host today, Mauro Fiore,
Hello.
Jr., Esquire.
Mauro Fiore Jr. Esquire. Yeah, that's my handle.
Yeah, and we're very, very honored to have one of the pillars in the legal industry, Michael Mogil.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
A true mogul. That's a blessed to have a last name like this.
I think now it is, right? when I was washing dishes at Taco Mac, right, and just working at a dive bar, I wouldn't say so much. Like, oh, mogul, man, you should make something of yourself, right? My family immigrated here. They came over here with nothing. They invest in their son. They say, hey, doctor or lawyer. I go all the way through, through college. I took the MCAT. I get into medical school, and then decide not to go. 2008 hits, right? That obviously was an interesting period of time. So that's where I found myself at the dive bar. So I had the cool last name, but didn't have much to show for it at the time.
You certainly lived up to it, my friend. And a lot of people see here. So we're filming today live in Atlanta, and we're at the Crisp headquarters, which this building is absolutely stunning. I mean,
It just keeps on going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
From the street, it just goes back like a block.
And there's 200 some lawyers here today.
Yeah.
Today, the parking lot had like 300 cars. What's going on here at the HQ?
Yeah, so we got a couple workshops. So we've got every quarter, our attorneys in our community, so we have about 1,000 firms, but they come in for their workshops, and there's like the different programs that come in. So for example, we've got 2 going on today, another 2 going on tomorrow. A couple weeks ago, we had another set of 4. So they fly in from all over the country. They come in here and learn about like leadership, culture, how to develop their teams, and the advantage of saying, hey, there's a lot of lawyers here is that nobody really messes with you. Like I just got LASIK eye surgery, and when the guy was about to, my doctor was about to operate on me, he's just trying to spark up conversation. He says, so what do you do? Oh. And I said, we work with about 1,000 lawyers. And I thought that would make him more careful, right? Just during the surgery.
Oh, yeah.
So here I am a week later, LASIK.
Do you know your eyes are 2 different colors?
Are they? Are they? They must have messed up.
No, it's fine. We'll do it for a sport, but I always do that every time I go to the hospital or doctor or something. I always casually drop that, hey, I'm a lawyer, but I don't sue doctors yet. So
it makes them real nervous. My wife had knee surgery a couple of years ago, and when the surgeon asked us what we did, and he said we work with lawyers, it kind of made him a little uncomfortable. He's like, because he was about to go into a deposition after our appointment. So,
dude,
doctors
this is like a
doctors don't really
this
like
non-alcohol.
lawyers
This is a free spirits, and
How'd
this,
the LASIK work out? You see good?
Oh, so I got checked yesterday, 2010. Now, prior to this, people were telling me that they said LASIK was the best thing they ever had done in their life. Like married people told me that the best decision they ever made was LASIK, right? Not marriage or kids or whatever. So I'd say it's probably a top 10 decision. I don't know, I'd say it's like the best, but it's just nice to be able to wake up and see and
I
not
had
to deal
it
with
done
glasses or
about
contacts.
15 years ago.
Oh, so
and,
you know.
I would say that it's in my top 10 of things I ever did.
Yeah.
I could see the same day. It was amazing. And I was blind. I couldn't see shit.
Yeah.
So it is a pretty amazing process.
I can't see like close up anymore. I can see like eagle vision. Far.
Oh, it doesn't help you with the close up.
Yeah, well, that's.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I can see this bottle because this one's a free spirits. Now we got those specifically for you, because now listen to this. I know you're big into health and wealth, right? So, this is a rich alternative to bourbon with B vitamins and other functional ingredients to help ignite your energy and elevate your mood.
Okay. I've never tried any of these, but I can tell you right out of the gate, I really appreciate the level of respect, because this stuff's probably going to taste horrible to you.
It's probably going to taste horrible to me, but
Yes.
maybe. But I know, you have you have to actually be strong to open this bottle, apparently.
Yeah, I tried to get my dad to drink some of this. non-alcoholic stuff when he was like, pretty old and he was like drinking booze. I tried to sneak it in one time and he's like, this isn't booze. This isn't liquor. And he threw it in the garbage. That's my dad.
It'll probably still have like placebo effect.
Let's see.
We get a little buzzed off it.
Let's check this out, Mike. All right.
Smells good. Cheers.
Cheers.
To a crisp start of the morning.
Interesting.
What's your assessment? I'll be
It
honest.
does not taste like whiskey.
No. Tastes like, kind of like a watered down Coca-Cola.
It does.
Yeah.
Watered down whiskey with like a ginger hint to it. I don't feel bad chugging it, so that's fine. That's fair.
No, it's not bad. I mean,
I bet whoever made this probably was like, that was like the 30th formulation, right? Like we perfected it.
Yeah, I mean, how many tastings do you think that they went through this?
I mean, I don't know, hundreds.
Because
Probably.
my wife does, consumer goods and drinks. They go through so many back and forth and ingredients and formulations and taste tests, and this is what they came up with.
caramel kissed non-alcoholic blend. I mean, it's okay.
It's 5 calories.
I mean, it's good.
It's amazing.
Well, 5 calories per how many pours? If you drink the whole bottle.
Yeah, it is deceiving.
Yeah. So Mike, you everybody thinks you have all of this wealth. I mean, shit, you rented out. You did an event at the Dome here in Atlanta. I mean, I was there doing the Dirty Bird. But I mean, it was incredible. The amount you had Arnold Schwarzenegger. I remember you had Goins, Shauna, who we interviewed yesterday, was on there. John Morgan.
The Dirty Bird?
You remember the Dirty Bird with Atlanta?
I
Super
remember
Bowl?
the Icky Shuffle.
That was Cincinnati.
Maybe I'm a little older than you.
Stop it. But I remember the Icky Shuffle too. So, I mean, everybody thinks that you must have had all this money to start this massive empire. But it's not true.
I wish there was like an immigrant trust fund somewhere. If there just was that opportunity. It's interesting, like in the early days of the business, when I started. So I started the company in 2012. I had $500 to my name. I reached out, to try to get investors and just go to banks, and no one wanted to loan the money to someone running a service-based business for the first time with no track record of success. And
What was your vision in 2012? What was your pitch to these people turning you down?
So initially, in 2012, we were purely focused on short-form video, so video for the web. And this was really before YouTube and a lot of the social media platforms were predominantly video in terms of like the content that you see. But most businesses would advertise on TV, and we worked with a lot of like smaller firms that just didn't have the resources to compete with big players. They couldn't do a lot of traditional advertising like billboards and radio and TV. But the barrier to entry on social media, on a Facebook or a YouTube or Instagram, Twitter at the time was much lower. So I looked at it as like this video content could really help firms differentiate and stand out. And I used to every meeting and every call I had, I'd talk about the power of video, and people look at me like, honest. I know it seems like now obvious, but
it's
then,
so crazy because we've had like, one of the bigger tech founders, they're multi-billion-dollar companies, and they were telling stories around the same time, talking to firms about going on the cloud, and people laughing in their face.
They
laugh.
They're like,
crazy.
I don't think anyone's going to watch these videos, especially on the internet.
God.
And we said, well, look, because at the time, like the big agencies like Ogilvy's and so on, they were running these massive campaigns, largely for Fortune 500s. So small business really didn't have a great option. And this was also around the time there was a shift from, on the photography and video side, from film cameras to digital cameras. And then there's a whole movement of purists that just did not want to go in that direction. They didn't want to shift to digital. Most of them are not in existence today. But I remember at the time, people just laughed. They're like, why would anybody want a video? Like for their business, who would watch a video online, like a short form video? Like what we're saying, like 2 to 3 minutes. They literally laughed at me. And it's interesting because every call I would have, I'd have to say like, well, a picture's worth 1,000 words. But a video, we're talking about
multiple.
30 frames a second, right? And they just, they didn't get it. But it's interesting because I was looking at how, how people were consuming content, and it was only a matter of time. I mean, YouTube was already, starting to kick off, but at the time, platforms like Facebook and Instagram and so on, it was still primarily just either sharing links or sharing images. It wasn't video yet, but I just looked at it and like, look, inevitably it's going to go here.
Wow.
So it's kind of obvious now. Like, you don't really have to sell anybody on the value of video when it's 90% of the content they consume. But then, yeah, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, this 2012. So I mean, now you offer a whole heck of a lot more than that, and you have Chris Ventures, and you have a lot of stuff going on. I know you're doing development of products and these things, but it came from just knowing the market was going to go to short form video in 2012.
Yeah, it was really about, at the time, you're looking at, let's say, the legal industry, which again, that one happened completely by accident. We started broad, working with like big brands like Coca-Cola and Verizon and Red Bull, and there's nothing special about that. I know if it sounds like a big brand, every agency in Atlanta was working with Coca-Cola, right? That wasn't anything unique or special, and but what I saw really was that you've got a super competitive market, let's say legal in particular, super saturated, very commoditized. From a consumer standpoint, like how do they even tell one law firm apart from another? If they visit their websites, they see that they're all the best, they're all super lawyers. And when you ask somebody, how do you find a lawyer? They say, well, I just either get a referral from a friend, right, that somebody had a previous good experience with, or outside of that, they just do a Google search and they see who either comes up, or at the time there's a lot of like the legal directories like Avo and so on, but there was not really a good way to differentiate one law firm from another. So the idea behind the video was, hey, let's tell your story, let's showcase why you became an attorney, what sets your firm apart, and initially it gave a lot of these small firms kind of leveled the playing field. We say the best cases go to the best marketers, which is an unfortunate truth. It's not something I like. Our aim is to help the best cases go to the best attorneys. So video was a way to level the playing field, and then, I say this today, it seems like a natural progression, but I actually feel like I did this backwards. But we expanded from video to marketing, because you produce the content, but then our law firms didn't know what to do with it. They're like, I play at cocktail parties and I put it on my website, but like, how do people find me? So that's where we started pushing the content on social media. And then from there, let's say you get the phone to ring, the next challenge we saw is that some law firms, just didn't have a great intake process, or just didn't have great systems in place at the firm. Like there wasn't really a business there, or any way of actually supporting the marketing, right? Like they wouldn't live up to the marketing. Like you can get the phone to ring, but then when it came time to deliver,
what are your process? And is that a lot of what you teach here, like business skills, how to actually operate a profitable law firm, these types of skills?
We teach everything outside of how to practice law. So
that's probably the most valuable thing for lawyers.
Yeah, everything from how to hire the right people, how to attract the best people. Like, every law firm I come across, they say, look, we want the best trial attorneys. I say, well, you're not alone. Why would the best trial attorneys want to work at your firm? Because they have a lot of options, right? A great trial attorney can go anywhere. They can be well compensated. They're usually, in many cases, even happy where they're at. So it's like, how do you attract somebody like that? And it's building the type of culture and the type of brand that gets somebody, into your ecosystem. And beyond that, it's like, how do you, develop your leaders? How do you get your team on board? Like, we're all about culture. I know there's, a lot of business organizations that are very like focused on the financials and the P&Ls, and they're almost like CPA focused. And we believe that.
Talk about culture, and I want to open the next
get the people right.
You gotta, Michael. You gotta.
Oh, I gotta drink this.
You gotta finish it. That's the only rule on
Diet
the show. This is another one. Just talking about culture, I'm gonna pour. Oh man, this is called Spears Kentucky 74, and it's a spiced, non-alcoholic cinnamon whiskey. You've heard of this?
I've heard of this one, yeah.
Man, I have not. But because I think cinnamon is usually fire, and I think this smells, it almost smells like olive-like juice, which I do love olive juice, but I like a dirty martini.
You never mix these, do you?
Yeah, just finish it. You can mix it. You want to mix it?
Yeah.
Oh man, this will be fine.
There we go.
Because talk about culture and things that you've done, and not worried about the P&Ls. You held an event that I rumored that you spent $8 million on renting out the Superdome, and having probably the biggest event any lawyer's ever put on.
Yeah, so that was, I don't know if I'll ever do that again, and I don't actually know if anybody else is going to do it again. It was, people ask me, like, why were we doing this? Because we've done a few of our events before, and our conferences are like,
this is way better than it smells.
Way better than the other one.
This is way better than it smells. This actually tastes like Fireball.
This is better than the Free Spirit for sure.
Oh yeah.
The other one.
I'm shocked at this one.
Yeah.
I could actually drink this.
And this one's 30 calories.
Oh fuck.
So you got 6 times as many calories, but probably get 6 times the flavor too.
Yeah, and
well, you know how I watch my calories, Bob.
Oh yeah, watch them go down into your mouth, down into your system. So, and I know you're big on health right now too.
Yeah.
And I know I see from cold plunging to all the other stuff they're doing, and you're fucking ripped, dude. Did you touch this guy's muscles? Not in a creepy way, but did you?
No, but I'll do it later.
Okay, he'll pawl at you. But look,
is he hairless? Is he hairless?
I don't know.
Is he clean?
I think I just probably got maybe the suit's too small.
Just a small suit, little jacket. But yeah, what are some things that you think are working well for you? Because you're like me, you're a girl dad, right?
Oh yeah, 2 daughters.
Yeah, and beautiful wife Jessica. I know you guys spend a lot of time together, work together. But what do you do for health? What's like the new thing?
Yeah, so I know we were talking about this even before we started rolling, and that I struggle with moderation in anything. I get obsessed with things, and I mean, you guys know. I mean, after years of growing a business, and you know what the hours are like, and what the sacrifices are like, and it's just I'm still relatively young, but I got some blood labs done. This was back in I think towards the end of 2022, and I was just not in great shape, right? So I was at the time, I think I was 36, 37, and they said, look, your labs look like a 50-year-old, right? Wow. Like everything's out of whack. Like, I mean, it was just stressed out, exhausted, and I know numerous colleagues of mine and we all know people that had a heart attack too early, right, or neglected their health, and I saw the writing on the wall, and I was like, look, if I don't pivot here, if I don't start to change things, I want to be here for my girls. I also look at it from the standpoint of, can I be the best leader for my team? Can I be the best, best husband and so on? If I don't have like the energy, the vitality to keep going. So yeah, I got obsessed. Everything from getting diet right, getting exercise right. I'm exercising probably 4 or 5 days a week.
What kind of exercise do you do?
Just general like weight training. Weight training. I'll do like some rowing or cycling. I hired a trainer, and he said, look, man, can you get 10,000 steps a day? And I'm like, all right, challenge accepted. And I average 30,000 steps a day.
Wow.
Just because, I mean, for no reason other than I just want to do a higher number, right? Just get an idea of like how I approach things. And I was kind of in a privileged position a few years ago where I was able to really I believe that you don't have to do everything alone. And if you're able to bring on help, and like some sort of like just resource to help guide you along the way, because look, I tried it on my own. I was working out before, but my health was what it was. And everyone knows what they're not supposed to eat, and yet we still eat it anyway. So I brought on like a whole health team. And this was everything from like a chef to a trainer to a nutritionist, to even like a functional medicine doctor. So we do blood labs quarterly, and he's like, here's what we got to do to dial things in. And when you make that kind of investment, I mean, one, it's like you have accountability, but you don't have to do it alone. So here I am, probably almost a year and a half later, dropped about 20, 25 pounds, but that probably wasn't the main thing. I think it's more so around like sleep improved. We started tracking everything, right? I was wearing like one of those whoops, at the 8 sleep. It's no different from growing a business. It's like you can't really improve what you don't measure. So, and actually I enjoy it. Like it doesn't necessarily even feel like work. It just became a part of my day to day.
You got to invest in your health. And we were, me, my wife, and a bunch of our friends, Nick Rowley, who we all know, we go to this place in Colorado, the Boone Heart Clinic, and this anti-aging thing called Resilience Code.
Yeah. He's obsessed too.
He's obsessed.
Yeah.
And we were just with him last. Did you go up there to Santa Barbara? I was there with him last weekend.
I couldn't make it. I was coaching T-ball last Saturday, but I wanted to go.
Yeah, we're good friends with them, and they're big on longevity and stuff, and I think you got to be healthy like that. So for me, I actually ran my panels many times, and they checked my liver many times, and like it's pristine. I said,
are you serious?
Again, I'm 100% serious. I asked my doctor, and he's like, you can have a couple drinks a day, no problem. And I get it checked every time. But I think that's just genetics.
It is genetics.
This guy's never gone to see a friggin' doctor, ever. So we have to drag him. Nick's gonna send his plane for Morrow to take him to Colorado the next couple of weeks.
April 11th.
He's making him go.
I've had this thing where the last time I went to a doctor, I was 36, and I'm 49. So I'm figured, I feel fine, The fuck I need to go to a doctor for? Yeah. I'm fine.
But here's the whole thing about this longevity movement. And initially, I was listening to podcasts, then I get obsessed, and I start reading like PubMed articles, and there's this whole movement that you're kind of shifting from like sick care to health care and preventative medicine. And if you can find the right clinic that'll get MRIs done and like CT scans, you can catch things early, and you can treat them. Like you can treat almost any cancer if you catch it early enough.
So now Nick has basically badgered me and bombarded me with texts and phone calls for the last 3 months, to where I'm actually going to this Resilience Code place.
Yeah,
he started putting it. He put us on a text chain. It's like our wives, his wife, shaming me.
This is going to be up there with LASIK. I'm telling you, like when imagine you catch something like kind of like a stage 1 cancer, and you can handle it now. And there's so many people that they check out your blood vessels, and they check out all the arteries and everything like that, and they're like, you know what? Like if we make this change right now, like I know countless people that have done these types of labs and assessments, and they find out that like something bad was about to happen. Like they were right on the verge of a heart attack.
There's a few lawyers
They catch
I
it
know
early,
they caught it through this, and
they're good.
they put on medication. They cleared like a lot of
Yeah.
all plaque. It's crazy what can be done. But
It's like the greatest gift I think you can give somebody.
I love that shit, man. By the way, we put up here a Pappy Van Winkle 23, which is one of the hardest to find bottles. So if you ever want to take a pull while you're here, I know you have a TED Talk right after this, and I know you're really healthy, but that's good for you. This one's actually very medicinal, and your friend Alex Shinara actually gave us that bottle.
Oh yeah.
He says if
He's got a whole collection.
But we went through the story, like how they do this.
Have you seen his collection?
No, he's taking pictures. I've never been in his house though. But he's been like, he was one of the original folks with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Crisp, right?
Yeah, yeah. We have. This is where like, I think it was John Morgan who said at one point, like when he and I spoke a number of years ago, and he said, "Life is luck." And I said, "Well, John, what about like free will?" And he's like, "Yeah, obviously hard work is important, and like you have to take advantage of opportunity." But he's like, "The longer I do this, the more I realize life is luck." And at first I kind of like challenged him on that, and now as I reflect, I'm like, I think luck plays a much larger role than many of us believe. And in the case of Alex, for example, the way Alex and I even met, for example, was that we were at the National Trial Lawyers, and I was supposed to fly out early, but I decided to change my flight so I could stay later with the team and help them pack up the booth. At the time, we flew with our booth, and we would pack everything up. We stayed at a different hotel because, I believe you got to stay hungry, right? Like couldn't afford to stay at the Lowe's, so we'd find some other hotel in Miami, and I was like, we're gonna walk, right? Even after we were able to afford the Lowe's, we still would stay at other hotels.
Well, I do that just to not be away from everybody.
Well, that's actually a great reason
yeah,
too.
a little peace of mind.
So
I never stay at the hotel where the.
So I changed my flight, and then that flight gets delayed 3 times, and we finally fly back into Atlanta, and it's like midnight, almost 1 a.m., and we happen to be a baggage claim, and I bump into Alex. That is the way Alex and I met. Now, in that situation, had I taken my original flight, I don't know if Alex and I would have ever connected.
You know how I connected Alex?
Yeah.
At your event in Atlanta.
There you go. There you go.
He came, and people's like, you got to meet this gentleman. You guys speak a lot and think a lot of the same. And another friend of mine was looking for a new opportunity at a new firm, and he ended up working for him, and he's excelling right now. We were with him last night. It all comes full circle.
Yeah.
But you had because it's funny how small this industry is, but a lot of people came up through your masterminds. Like a lot of the original, like Matt Dolmans of the world, like all these people were together. And it's crazy. A lot of people don't even realize that they started with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you ever think of it as like a coaching tree, like the people that you helped and grew?
I think it's attracting a certain type of mindset, right? So I think we're not for everyone, but we cater to somebody who's like very driven, very ambitious, very entrepreneurial minded. I think that person is attracted to it. We also took a unique approach. I mean, with legal in general, when you look at how a lot of the conferences have been run and what they look like, it's not known for its excitement. It's not known for its community. It's not known for like really driving any type of emotion and movement. And when we started doing our first events, I mean, we had these like massive screens, and like we had a DJ playing music. We had David Goggins, a Navy SEAL, screaming at people, and like that was very different from your traditional legal conference. So I think that attracts certain individuals. It probably repels a lot of other individuals, and that's okay. But I think it's been a privilege to work with the number of firms that we have, and it's great. But I also think there's people drawn to. I think you have to have a level of like humility and an open-mindedness to consider a new approach, and it's just recognizing. I mean, the big thing we've always been pushing is that at the root of any problem is people, and at the root of any solution is people. If you can get the right people into your firm, you can create the right culture, it'll solve every problem. So I know we were talking earlier about, it's not saying the P&Ls don't matter, like they matter a lot. The metrics matter a lot. The revenue matters, the profit matters, but I don't know that you solve that by looking at, the line items and saying, cut this, cut that. If you had the right people, think about it this way. If you could have the absolute best trial attorneys, the absolute best paralegals, the absolute best intake staff on the planet, you would solve every problem. Like you wouldn't have any problems. Like you'd be done. Right now, obviously the road to getting there is challenging, but it's like if you had the right person in the right role and you were able to create the environment where they can all work together. I mean, this is how this is how championships are made. So.
Yeah, and you have championship runs. You keep the team together, and I think I've been big at culture at our firm, and we've hired the best people, and I would do the same thing. I don't care about resumes. I don't care where you went to school, and I know you're the same way.
Yeah.
We interview a human being.
Yeah.
If a human being has a culture fit and picks up the team, and that's what it's all about.
How often do you ask, if let's say you're interviewing a lawyer, how important is it to you where they went to law school?
No, I don't think we ever even asked that question. Unless it's like for Morrow, who went to an unaccredited law school. And that's like a surprise. Like Gary Dordick, one of the best trial lawyers, didn't even go to college, went to an unaccredited law school.
Yeah.
That's the only time we ask.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's like I look around my office and I couldn't even tell you where they went to college. I found out the other day, I was like, you know what, we had like some MBAs and PhDs here, and I started to feel like inadequate, right? I only got a bachelor's, right? So I was like, what, these people are here? Yeah, so it's just wild to me, but I'd say that, like, you're right. I mean, you're looking at the individual. You're looking at what are their skills, their capabilities, what's their mindset, kind of what's their attitude day to day. And if you can, it's such a challenging thing. Like, it's simple but not easy, right? Imagine you have 10 people at your firm, or 50 people, or 100 people. The idea of bringing it together, different backgrounds and different personalities and different skill sets, and getting these human beings to work well together. Because that's, I mean, you could attract very talented people, but it doesn't mean they're all going to work together, right? We've seen this with
we try
teams
to
all the
do
time.
it with, like, I have 25 lawyers at our firm, and we got maybe 60, 70 staff. And we do it all virtually. And I try to, it's
amazing.
And it's an art of building culture virtually, and do some in-person stuff when you can. But I also found a lot of, like, the run-of-the-mill HR issues went way down after we made that pivot, because people weren't arguing about, like, leaving the toilet seat up in the bathroom and, like, all these other things that would just bog people down for no reason and just whatever. But yeah, I have another pour here for you. So
I'm loving this one now.
This is great.
I'm actually seriously impressed by this.
I think we're going to be very impressed with this, because this is from that Pappy Van Winkle 23. Pappy, this is the granddaughters, or great-granddaughters of Pappy. They're triplets, and they started doing their own marketing, doing their own things. So this is a non-alcoholic one of the triplets that the Pappy Van Winkle family do. And this is a bourbon barrel-aged old-fashioned cocktail mixer, non-alcoholic. We got this.
Non-alcoholic. Is it really non-alcoholic? You just said that like 3 times. I'm just confirming that.
You got LASIK eyes.
Yeah, I got LASIK. I think I'm gonna get tricked on the third one. You know.
We got this in Birmingham at a liquor store called Linnell's at an ABC store. Very happy to find this.
It's very thick.
It's thick, so we're just gonna do a little pour, because I think yours is just supposed to mostly be a mixer.
Maybe.
This is like maple syrup, dude.
By the way, is this like blasphemy in the Pappy family for them to do something like this?
Nah. It's only blasphemy if you think it is, right?
Smells good.
Yeah. It's got to be good. That is pretty thick. It's supposed to be a mixer, but make an old fashioned with this. Oh, that would be fucking banging, and was.
Yeah, it would be a good mixer. I like it.
Now it would be blasphemy
It does taste
to
a little
take
bit
the
like
Pappy
bourbon.
23 and mix it with something like this.
Yeah.
It does taste a little bit like bourbon.
Morrow tried to, for his first Pappy, he tried to mix it with Coke. Yeah.
And Sprite.
And Sprite. He would have got struck down from the gods. So how do you find balance in, I know you were on the conference circuit a long time. You started off as a vendor selling all the stuff you're doing. And then you pivoted to, having this mogul empire, right? But now you have little girls, you got your wife. You know, you told me before that you're going to take off, maybe do one conference this year and have it just be yours.
Yeah.
How are you able to flip that? How are you in a position to be able to do that? And how do you balance?
Man, it's a loaded question. I don't know that I've fully figured this out. I will say that I think the advantage that I've had is that I can, I get the opportunity to be around a lot of people that are, further ahead in life than I am, and I can kind of learn from them and learn from their experiences. And, when I hear a lot of people's regrets saying that, I wish I would have spent more time with my kids, and I wish I would have spent more time with my family. And, I see this with a lot of entrepreneurs. Initially, when we're getting started, it's like, I'm doing this for my family. I'm doing, you're putting in those long hours, and on the weekend, you're telling everybody, it's like, I'm doing this so we can provide. And then you get to a point where you've hit that mark, and everyone is taken care of, and you're still doing that stuff, and you're still saying, I'm doing this to provide for everyone. And, if you ask your kids, you're like, what's the ultimate currency with them? And it's just time with you.
Time.
So I never thought I was like a parent type, right? Like, my wife and I originally, I don't know, we couldn't say we wanted kids. And we had the first one, we're like, this one's pretty good. And then we had, the second one. That was the exact opposite of the first one. But that being said, I realized, like, man, I love these kids, right? We interact with adults and, helping to, like, to develop them in the coaching program, that's one thing, right? It's like, you can get mad at them, right? Because they've been around for a while, right? And they're adults, but kids, you got a blank slate. It's like, what do they know, right? So, you want to set up these kids to just be able to stand on their own and be people of value. But for me, it was just being able to prioritize and say, look, why are we doing all this, right? Obviously, we want to help people, we want to impact people, but at the same time, it's like, what kind of example do I want to set? Like, I don't know that people want to see somebody who's working still 80 to 100 hours a week is stressed out and exhausted. I don't know if they're like, hey, this is what I'm going to aspire to be like. I think just.
But you seem like the type of person that loves to work.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love it, and I'm obsessed. But what I've done is, like, especially this year and even last year, it's I put all the things with our family and our kids on the calendar first, and then fill in the rest, right?
Important.
So we've got example soccer tomorrow, right? Like our girls just they just started soccer, or we're going to Disney in a few weeks. So we planned those trips last year, and rather than trying to like find time on the calendar to be there with the family. Another thing is, like, every morning I'm dropping off our girls at school, and both my wife and I are. It's rare that I ever see both parents doing drop off, like, ever. And I mean, obviously, like, my wife could just go, or we've got a nanny, she could take them, but I like doing it. Like, we have some really interesting conversations on the way there, right?
And they're the most fun conversation. I
Yeah.
like picking them up and asking them, so what was your most fun part of the day? And just to hear the shit that they say.
Being a dad is probably the most important job you have. That's the most important job I have, I think.
Absolutely.
And they say that I think I probably said this before, but on one of these podcasts. But by the time your kids turn 18, you've spent like 90% of the time you'll ever spend with them.
I heard that's like the 18 summers thing, and like should
And
be.
after that,
18 summers, I never thought of that
it's
was
like
true.
exactly like I have a friend of mine. He lives in LA. His parents live on the East Coast. He's close to his mom and dad, but I know for sure, but I know this guy for a long time, that he sees his parents like 4 days a year. Like he'll go out there for like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something for like 3 days, and then maybe his parents will come out for a weekend, and that's it. And he's close to him, but he sees his parents 4 or 5 days a year, and he's been doing that for as long as I know him, like 10 years. Imagine, so your time with your kids is so limited once they fly on their own, that you have to take advantage of it now when they're small. Yeah. My kids are 5, 4, and then I have a 20-year-old.
Wow.
And I try to take advantage of all the time I can.
Yeah, but your point is good, and like we have, I forget the name of this product, but like it's the family calendar thing where we enter it all in different color coded, so we walk in and you can visualize the year, the month, the week, and be able to see everything, all the kids' calendars, all the stuff I got to do, my wife has to do. What we pick, like I always do before the new year, is I'll go put all the kids' stuff that I know we're doing, plan the vacations, and plan it around it just like you do.
Yep.
Here's the conference I know I got to do. Here's like a trial that I know I can't move, and that's in a certain color, and then you plan. But you also, I noticed recently, you have where you take some of the people in your club on a cruise.
Yeah.
But you bring your family.
Yeah, we went on the Ritz yacht in January, which by the way, if you do that, it's going to spoil cruises, just forever, because it's funny. We went on a Disney cruise last year with our family, and everyone was like, man, it's the best thing in the world. But we'd been on the Ritz yacht before. Don't get me wrong, it was nice, but you're on a ship of 3,000 people, and you go out on the pool deck, and you're like, it's rough. Like, you're never going to find a seat. On the Ritz yacht, there's like 200 people. You can go around. There's nobody there. Like, it's amazing, but it's hard for us to be away from the kids. And we were going for a little over a week. It's like, let's just take them with us. And they had a little Ritz Kids Club there, and like we spend time with them every single day, and so it's great. Like, I guess my goal, just in the years ahead, is just to get them involved, right? Like, to get them, like, as soon as I can take them to the office with me and they can start being unpaid interns. We're going to do that. Like,
well, you should pay them for tax purposes, right?
Yeah, of course. They may not know that, right?
Not know that.
But
Never.
that being said, it's like, I don't want it to be a mystery of like we just go away and they're like, where do they go and what do they do? It's like, well, let me take you with me, right? Let's get the whole family
So do you
involved.
find, because we bring our kids to a lot of these legal conferences too, sometimes it's hard to be present with them because if you know everybody there, you're pulled in a million different directions. Everyone wants to talk to Michael.
Yeah.
Especially if you're there with all your people in your group that you're bringing
Yeah.
up. How are you able to actually have like you time to turn it off?
So this is what we've done. I can't say this is like the right way, and this is also a privileged thing to say. And again, I have to remind people that 13 years ago I had $500 to my name. So just my answer to that is bring help. So we fly in our nanny with us, and she'll stay in a room with our girls. So we'll go and we'll have breakfast with them. Sometimes we'll have lunch. If we're going to be hanging out, but it allows you to have some degree of separation. I don't know if your kids need you around 24/7, right? Like, they don't need you that much, but it's important that at least for us, that we're able to spend time with them every single day. That we're doing things together. But then it's also important that you can go get some sleep, right? And if you get one hotel room and you got your kids there, and we have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, right? And you need to be, in peak state the next day. Good luck.
Yeah.
Right. So
if you're in the same room.
Yeah, if they're in the same rooms, just get 2 rooms. Bring the help with you.
We do 2 rooms or like a suite, and it's fun. But yeah, I agree 100%. What I found good is when you travel, like when we're going to Europe, is we now have it dialed in where you find a local nanny that knows the area very well, and it almost they become like your kid concierge service, where like they know all the local parks.
Yeah,
it's
petting
beautiful.
zoos, and they know everything.
Yeah, so that's been a very good, like, when I tell people how do you travel, it's like, first thing, pick your location and find your support that's local. You can bring somebody else with you too, but if you have that local person that knows everything about the area, the safe places, the little dangers, the little hidden gems for kids, it's the best.
Awesome tip.
I'm telling you, man, so you learn something new every day. Just took it over Spirits. So we're getting towards the end of the episode here, and before we do, I want to ask you, because you've been seen as a visionary in the space, you predicted a lot of things that happened well before they did. You said for many times that non-lawyers owning law firms is coming.
Yeah.
You said that PE venture funds are coming into law firms. You predicted
What's
short-term
PE for
private equity.
People who don't know, okay,
Yeah.
private equity.
And what's the future look like now? What are things that you see coming?
Yeah, so this could either be absolutely terrifying to someone listening, or this could be incredibly exciting. And it's the same thing, just 2 different perspectives. So, non-lawyer firm ownership is here, and whether we fight that, whether we agree with it or disagree with it, the reality of it is that, and however that exists, sometimes in the form of a lead gen company, and someone might say, well, this isn't legal in my state, but okay, fine. So they incorporate in Arizona, and they could market for cases in any city or state. Like there's really no jurisdictional lines that way. So that introduced itself. Private equity coming in and offering capital. Somebody could see that and saying, like, how do I compete with that private equity money? Another person looks at it and says, well, what a great opportunity to be able to inject capital into my firm. Like they don't have to acquire me; they could just buy in, and I'm getting money to invest back into the practice, hire people, and it's at a rate that's I say respectfully, that's a lot more competitive than a lot of the funding companies, right? So it provides lawyers opportunities to grow. So there's a lot of great opportunities there. I think just AI, of course, in driving more efficiency and more effectiveness. I don't think AI is going to kill law firms. I think it's the lawyers using AI that will kill the lawyers not using AI. It's looking at it as like an AI assistant of like the ways in which you can be more efficient and more productive and more effective. All these things in so many ways are good for consumers.
Yep.
I know there's the opposing argument of saying, well, if private equity comes in and non-lawyer firm ownership, then it's going to turn into like the same thing we saw in healthcare, and it's going to be one of these things where the love is going to be gone, and that's not what we're about. We prefer the lawyers hang on to the ownership. But let's say you're somebody who has built a great practice, you've worked for many years, and what's the exit strategy? Today, if you decide you want to sell that practice, your only buyer is another lawyer. And if you're a decent sized firm, there's not really many options, particularly in your market. Like who's going to buy your firm? If now with private equity, now you can actually really sell this thing. You can get a legitimate valuation, and you can get a strong multiple that can set you up for for retirement. So that's something that previously really didn't exist. So I look at that as like there's a lot of really great opportunities, but more importantly than anything, and this may sound self-serving. I'm not saying anyone has to even work with us, but I think the business side of law is becoming increasingly more and more important. I remember when we started in 2012. People were still looking at lawyers that advertised as just blasphemous, and they were just an abomination to the profession. And then the lawyers that were running businesses, they said, well, they don't care about their clients. And I don't think anything can be further from the truth. I think when you run your practice like a business, you are prioritizing the client experience. You are making sure that you have the capacity, that your team is just on point and trained and well developed, that you have the resources to take on and support really great cases. And if you look at it as saying like, well, you got one solo attorney who's spread thin, working 100 hours a week, or you've got the resource attorney that's got a great team, provides great service, is super responsive, provides an amazing client experience. Like, who's better for the client?
Yep.
So, I think that's where the movement's heading. I don't know that it's the same thing where the lawyers that ignored advertising eventually they came around. They're like the phone would ring a little bit less year after year, and they said, okay, you know what? Maybe I need to do something. And it's the same thing with running your practice like a business. You could say, look, well, you could always look at an example being like a Mark Lanier and saying, well, Mark doesn't really run it like a business. And I don't really love that type of example because if you're banking on being a super well-known trial attorney that hits $1 billion verdict, then that is his marketing. And that doesn't apply to
Well,
99% of attorneys.
We know a lot of very successful trial lawyers that are broke,
Yeah.
that have made huge verdicts, but they have no idea how to run a business. We
Yeah,
see it all the
running the business of law and being a lawyer is so separate, or so different, and they don't teach you the difference in law school. And a lot of lawyers never adapt, and those are the ones that don't make it.
So I'll close out by saying this, like, what is this really all about, right? Is it just helping a bunch of lawyers make more money? I think initially, you can tell somebody, hey, it's all about leading a better life and serving your community and so on, but for someone who's struggling to support their family and support their team and can't pay their bills, money, yes, that's first, right? Help them solve the money problem so they can realize that really it's not about the money. And if you can set somebody up to have that freedom of, well, money's not the number one focus anymore because the people in their life are taken care of, they can invest in their team, like they can help their team members be successful. I know you're big on this, of just like helping others win. Well, now they're like, okay, money's handled, what am I gonna do now? I'm gonna make a huge impact. I'm gonna serve more people in my community. I'm going to actually do things that like give rather than take. And I think that's better for everyone. So helping somebody become a better leader is not just about helping the law firm be more successful, it's about helping them really lead a better life where they can spend that time with their kids and their family. And and our aim is like, look, I think the best thing you can be to anybody, because you don't want to just tell people things, is you can be the example, right? You can say a bunch of things, but I always say this about the team and the culture. We can talk about culture all day long from stage, but it's not until somebody interacts with our team whether they find out that that's something real or not.
Yeah, you can't spell culture without cult.
That's right.
That's right. You're always building a mini cult, right, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do think that the number one thing, the takeaway with all of that is the client wins.
Yes.
If you have people that have confident team leaders with great culture that are happy and love what they do, they get a better experience, they get a better result. And I do agree with the non-lawyers coming into the space can be a very good thing if, like the marketing firms, have a quick and easy way to send those cases to the best lawyers. Because I don't like the lead gen companies that sell it as a lead. Because they're selling as a lead to someone that can buy the lead, and they're usually maybe that not the best lawyer that just send them to a chiropractor, right? But if they're able to get a percentage of the deal, what do they want to do? They want to get the best return on their money. So they go to the best lawyer for that specific case, and the client should win.
Yes.
So those lawyers on one end that are doing short form content with you, because that's where they want to compete, can now get cases directly from these people that are great at marketing, right? And let lawyers be lawyers. So
That's right.
no, I think I agree a lot with what you just said. Mara, how do you feel about all this?
Well, I think that for me, I run a smaller firm. I don't do a tremendous amount of marketing. I don't spend a lot of money in advertising or anything like that. But I've been successful because I have my niche, and knock on wood, I'm a good lawyer. And I have a mid-sized firm. I have like 7, 8 lawyers and 40 staff. So I'm not running a mom and pop shop, but I'm not running a giant firm. The people that are running the big firms that advertise a lot, that are spending millions of dollars advertising, the ones you see the billboards all over the country, those are the ones that I think are scared of the non-lawyer ownership.
Well, a lot of them have got bought in by that.
Yeah.
But but what happens is they end up getting on this treadmill they can never get off. Some of those folks.
So they're scared of it because it's a lot of money that's going to come into the space that can compete with anybody or crush. They can crush people in the markets with the money they have behind them, right? The non-lawyer firms that can come in. They have it now in Arizona, Washington, D.C. I think in Washington State it's going to be coming in soon. But it doesn't scare me. I think it just helps. I think it'll probably get rid of some
bad players.
Some bad players.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
I love that you said that because I know we're probably way over on time. This is like bonus time. But the interesting thing about that, where I see a lot of big players get scared, is that many of them are a lot of big traditional advertisers. They became big traditional advertisers because they hit a big case early in their career, poured that back into billboards or TV or what have you, and then their success has largely come from just being able to outspend in marketing.
Yep.
So when they're no longer able to have that competitive advantage, it's like, well, what do we do? Because they weren't prioritizing customer service and client experience.
They weren't practicing lawyer.
Yeah, they weren't practicing law. They weren't taking the cases to trial. They weren't maximizing value for cases. Like, that wasn't a priority. So this actually creates that competitive pressure to run a great law firm.
And the great thing about what Michael and his team do and is doing here today live while we're filming at Crisp HQ is they're training 200 lawyers right now on how to have that competitive edge to make sure that they're either insulated or how would you say that they're able to be married into the situation if they wanted to, so that they're set up on the right path.
They're all like, I mean, it's, I love what you do at Justice HQ because I'm a big fan of collaboration. You know, there's of course things that, you know, that we teach at the workshops, but then there's the community that's established where you can learn from other people. They become referral partners with one another. I mean, they're sending cases back and forth. It's like, you know, it's interesting because as the community grows, the value that everybody receives from being a part of it also increases. So I think it's hard to do it alone. I mean, whether we're talking about fitness or whether we're talking about growing a business,
it's fun to do it.
when it's just you on your own and you're having to deal with private equity competitors in your market, you know, whatever, that's tough. But when you've got, you know, hundreds, if not thousands of other firms that are also equally committed and they want to help you win, right?
Yeah, and it's also inspiring
Right.
because everybody's, you know, researching new stuff. We learn so much. But yes, we are at the end here, man. We could probably do this all day. I know we got some other things to do here, but we do this thing at the end called where you got to pick your bourbon of proof. You got to pick which one of these three that you like the most and why.
Okay.
So what's your bourbon of proof, Michael Mogil?
You know, definitely not the first one.
No.
I would say that Spiritless tastes the most like Fireball.
Yeah.
But the Pappy one is probably the best, at least to me. I know you guys were saying it could be used as a mixer, but that one had to me, probably it tasted the most like a bourbon.
It did, yeah. And that's
Yeah, it did. That's what I said too, yeah.
100%. I actually I'm such a fan of Fireball. Just my Dungeons and Dragons nerd part of me always would start with a Fireball shot, Fireball spell. So.
Were you part of that lawsuit?
Which lawsuit?
The Fireball thing, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, I would have, because that's not real whiskey. They rip people off.
Yeah.
When you get those little things, it's not real cinnamon whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no whiskey in it.
There's no whiskey
It's
in it.
like
What a ripoff.
cinnamon flavored alcohol.
I actually got that letter that you get. Says you should be part of this class action. They must have known I bought a lot of it,
Yeah.
but I didn't join. Well, Michael Mogil, thank you for coming on. Thank you for what you do in the industry. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for listening to this episode of Bourbon Approved.